A very good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Welcome to our live trading session with myself, Giles Cochran, and Paul Sanders. Looking forward to a new start, and we have US President Trump alive and kicking on the wires, so it could be a lively session.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
So, what a weekend! Zelensky and Trump in the White House. Wow.
Big week. Yeah, we had that, and then we also had a big strategic reserve announcement, which turned out to be stuff like Cardano and like Solana and like not what a lot of people were expecting. And then the
Oh,
subtext was Bitcoin and Ethereum. So then on
yeah.
the Twitter rumor mill this morning, apparently there's another announcement. It's gonna be made at 1:30 today. So
Yes, I did
big.
see that. And nice bullish flag pattern on the hourly chart on the Bitcoin.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
nice pattern. Stops can just be placed underneath this level, and
Yep.
typically you're looking for an extension of that move.
Mhm.
So there's the potential from there all the way up to there. So very interesting on Bitcoin. So a lot going on. Was your weekend good, Paul?
Yeah, it was good. It didn't do we didn't do too much, honestly. There wasn't much to do. It was kind of, I don't know, just like a little bit of a colder weekend, just
Yeah,
hanging out, doing some extra things. Nothing too crazy. No
yeah.
trips, no just normal, I guess. You?
Yeah, I know my daughter was back from university, so I had a nice day with her and we did a quiz and I was speaking at church on Sunday. So I've had a busy weekend, which is good.
Little different. Mine is just hanging out. I think I talked to you about this on Friday, and you had like seven things lined up. I was
Yeah,
like, how do you have so much energy? But
yeah. When I stopped taking creatine, I noticed a little energy dip.
That's right. That's right. We had the big creatine commercial on
I
Friday.
said we did on Friday, and I said to my wife, and my wife says, "Well, why don't you just start taking it again?" I said, "Well, I want to pace myself, you know. Apparently, get 5 years. The studies say it's safe for 5 years, so I don't want to burn out all that time straight away.
Wait, the studies say what for 5 years? That you can only take for
Creatine
5 years?
use seems to be clinically safe for 5 years.
Interesting. Then after that, what?
Well, I don't know, just that's what I read.
Interesting.
Here,
Interesting.
here
Okay.
be dragons after this point, right?
Okay.
So Europe is basically rebounding from the weaker sentiment that came in late Friday with Trump's and Zelensky's bust up in the White House. Um, Europe sort of rallied around over the weekend, and that has helped lift sentiment in Europe. I mean, if you look at the DAX, it's soaring. Euro Stoxx is soaring. FTSE 100 is soaring. A lot of that is due to the increase in defense expenditure that's expected to come, and that's boosting both defense stocks and general growth expectations.
Yeah.
So it's one of the flip sides of increased defense spending is it is stimulatory for the economies. So that's lifting sentiment a little bit. And then if you look at the dollar, just that risk off sentiment that we saw in the last week just collapsing. I see a lot of case for further dollar weakness. And I know that a lot of the received wisdom is that tariffs are inflationary and that should support the dollar. But I see a lot of scope for dollar downside, and interesting to see the dollar tanking as soon as it has
Mhm.
half an opportunity. That's also helping precious metals, gold, silver, copper, all higher, WTI and Brent crude. So sentiment's sort of taken a little lift as we start the week, but we got some big announcements to come. Trump's got some announcement probably on Bitcoin coming up, and there's some announcement on whether Trump is going to freeze or cancel aid to Ukraine. So we could have another few mini chapters in this Ukraine-Russia story. So
Yeah.
just going to be very sensitive and conscious that we could see some shifts intraday. The general outlook, you can see US equity futures, they're pushing higher, and nice strong recovery from Friday. And if you look at the S&P 500, and if we just zoom out, you can see we're coming back to the underside of this crucial trend line here that we broke through. Now, if we can close back above this daily trend line here, I know it's only a potential trend line, and that some analysts would say, look, that's not a trend line because you haven't had the three touches. But when you have these isolated swing points, In my experience, they become hyper important as reference points. So it's not unique view. I've seen other experienced analysts have noticed exactly the same thing. So this is going to keep this here very relevant. Break and close back above this, and it opens up a move back up to the 60-60. So we're trying to push into that region, but I'm also conscious we're up at that R1 pivot point. This will also be an ideal place for selling. So two-way action, but sentiment is positive. We'll have to take a look at the E-mini to see how everything is doing as we get going. The calendar is light with the ISM PMI coming out. Now, if you look at the Eurozone data, French PMI data was better than the market's expecting. It's still in the contractionary territory, but slightly better than expected, just giving the euro a little lift, but it's really that dollar weakness that's lifting the euro this morning. The ISM manufacturing PMI print's less important than the services print that we get on Wednesday, but nevertheless, what markets are going to be looking at, they're going to be looking at the new orders index and prices paid. They're looking at prices paid for inflation. They're looking at the employment index to see if there's any, big dip in sentiment regarding the labor market. We got the NFP coming in on Friday. So prices paid, employment index, new orders, not like a grade A, must trade this as a risk event, but it can have some quite important components. So that's coming up at 3. So be aware of that. Half an hour after the open, that could move markets. We'll just need to pause and make sure we're having a look at that as it breaks over the 3 o'clock window. We've got Trump then giving his announcement at 6:30 on, it's expected to be some investment announcement. It's not exactly clear what that is. It's assumed it's going to be on the cryptocurrency news, but it could be something else. So just got to keep that in mind. But that's after our session. The Globex market in the futures, we see a slightly positive inventory, just ever so slightly going positive, which is in keeping with a slight lift in sentiment after Friday. Taking a look at the big levels to be aware of, we've got this big level marked here, lots of sellers here, lots of sellers here. You can see you've got about 24,000 contracts short from these two levels. So a break and close above these levels here at that 5,960 region is the developing value area low for the week. So big area of support here. We definitely want to mark that. And on the 15-minute chart, the key areas to be aware of are where we see sellers here at the 5,974 and here at the 5,993. So 5,974, 5,993, good areas for trapped sellers. And you see these trapped sellers have been trapped all morning from about 8:30 a.m. UK time. And some quite strong inventory coming in here and some quite strong inventory coming in here. So we've had about 2,400 contracts entering in, could be building positions to try to take it higher. So just to be aware of that as we come into the New York Open. Sentiment is broadly positive. On the 5-minute, we've just had these sellers getting trapped there. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Anthony's already made 2 points out of that, but we're just having a little pullback now, and you've got trapped sellers at the open down here at the 5,986. So big areas to be aware of at the open are anywhere at that 63. See this region here, that 63 region here, which on the 15-minute chart, you've got these trapped sellers here at the 5,970. So 5,970, 5,963. This first standard deviation test would be a great area for entering off the bounce for the New York Open. If we've got a quick flush down there, I'd expect buyers to buy in from 5,963. Stops could be just placed 10 points lower, 5,953. Yeah, right, and you'd expect a decent bounce from that area. You've also got a confirmed value area from Friday here, and we've opened outside of value. So we're outside of value, we're pushing higher, not unreasonable to expect further buyers, but we're going to have to be sensitive to what's going on because there's a lot of potential news. We've got a little bit of economic data coming out. We've got Trump alive and active about various investments that may or may not happen. And you've also got tariff talk coming into the mix as well. So there's an awful lot going on. I'm going to make sure the squawk's on so we don't miss any news. And we're just looking for very clear opportunities as the market sort of tries to find its feet on Monday. NFP coming end of the week. We've got ADP on Wednesday, which will set the mood for the jobs market, and expect that to be a developing narrative. So look out today, particularly on this employment index, right? If we see this going into contractionary territory and very low, that could move markets. So let's just have a quick look at that. ISM employment. Okay, so employment's at 50.3 for January. It has been in contractionary territory quite a bit. So what we'll be looking for here is anything that comes in, sort of anything below about 44 will get the market's attention. ID anything below 43 would be like a 12-month low. So that's what we'll be looking for to really get the market's attention. Have a look at prices. Prices paid 54.9. So again, to get the market's attention, anything above 60.9, 61 will be inflationary. Anything below about 48. So what we're looking for here to really get a move, probably looking this below 43.4. So employment below 43.4, give you a 12-month low. And then you want this, prices paid below 48.3. So if you start to see weakness in the labour market, and you start to see prices paid coming lower, that should give stocks a lift. And you see this coming in at 51.2, right? Then that should be E-mini to the downside. Paul, what's grabbing your attention? I know you're a Bitcoin man, and I know that was probably getting you jumping for joy over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I was shocked that.
And Scheinbaum says we will talk about our decisions tomorrow.
The president of the United States can mention a strategic reserve that includes Bitcoin potentially, and Bitcoin only goes up by 10 or 12 or 15% in the announcement. That was very concerning. Now I know that, at least in my mind, I know that he mentioned all these other.
Scheinbaum says whatever the decision from the US is, we will make our own decisions.
But yeah, to see it only go up 10 or 15%, I was, that doesn't make sense. Because he's not going to add like $100 million to the reserve. Like this is the U.S. Like a huge economy. So we'll see. It'll be very, very interesting. Could just be that the market just hasn't priced it in, and they don't know. And he's mentioned all these other altcoins, and it was supposed to be Bitcoin or Bitcoin and Ethereum, and he's mentioned all these other things. And the unpredictability of Trump is kind of psyching them out. That all could be the case, but I don't know that doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so you think that this is not actually reflecting what Trump is saying?
The Spanish speakers, those who want to check Mexican President Scheinbaum live, there is a link on the headline feed for her speaking currently live.
I mean, you think about the significance of, I know this was kind of predicted, and so you have a lot of this being priced in, but the market wasn't quite sure what to expect. And now you're telling me that the United States is going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet and it goes up 10%. Like, this is the sort of announcement that could double Bitcoin. Depending on how much he puts in there. And not only that, it's got so many bigger ramifications. It makes it legal, much more accepted. It creates just this war where everyone wants to get in, because if the US is doing it, then other people want to do it. Right? All these knock-on effects, and it's gone up 10%. Could just be slow to get going, but that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Yeah.
And you look at the way Cardano reacted, and Solana. Cardano was up 64%, almost doubled, like not quite, but it was up 64% on that spike. That makes a lot more sense. But it makes some more sense because no one expected Cardano, which is fine.
Yeah, okay.
But that's just, I don't know. Side note for the day. It has nothing to do with futures, but it's just it's interesting.
Well, it's still interesting, and it's up nearly 50%. Ridiculous.
Yeah, They were saying 64% at one point, but yeah. So we'll see.
If we had got a broker looking at the opening range breakout for a potential trade, the problem is we're looking at selling into this support area. But if we get enough volume, we can break down through that area, ideally underneath that standard deviation. That wouldn't be unreasonable to go with. It might be a bit hard to go with it ahead of the data. Let's have a look. So we've got this opening range in the 15-minute chart. We've got the low marked at this 70.25. Let's see if we get sellers coming in. They tried to break down through here. There was not enough volume. Very wicky. Oh, here we go. There's the volume. Right, let's see. People are going for it. Let's see if we can have a go on this.
That was quite a bit of volume that just jumped.
Yeah, it is. So that would confirm it. Let's see if we get it. Yeah, so I'm gonna sell that because that's quite a nice bit of volume.
Approach the top of the hour in 10 minutes. Are looking at the next set of US data. I'm expecting ISM manufacturing PMI for February. Expectations are for a slight downtick to 50.8 from the prior 50.9. Prices paid, they're seen jumping to 55.8 from the prior 54.9. Employment that last time came in at 50.3, while new orders last time were 55.1. Also looking out for construction spending in January, that's expected to be flat after rising 0.5% in December.
The problem I have got with this is that 63 is a great area to buy from.
Yeah, and right. You've got the data in a few minutes.
Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with it. I've just sort of closed it out flattish, right? Because that 63, if you look at it here, this is where you're expecting buyers, dip buyers, against those trap sellers here. And you see it's a big confirmed value area on the weekly chart. So it's the wrong area to look to short from. It's difficult. I'm just going to have to leave it. Nice technically in everything apart from where it is. Nice volume break, pushing through, standard deviation. But I think dip buyers could come in very quickly at any stage. That's the problem. So just got to leave it.
First day of March, kicking off a new month. And Giles, you're kicking off with some profit in the bank. It's always good.
Yeah, very nice start to the month. So the first trade was going for the opening range breakout. And what we had is we did have a nice opening range breakout on volume, but I was out for break even. Just taking a little bit too long to break out that area and saw a bit of rejection and just didn't like how slow it was going and closed out wrongly. Would have been a nice trade otherwise, that back down to the developed value area. So that was the first opening breakout range. Then noticed inventory was negative. We were moving back into Friday's value area. What we were seeing is we were seeing buyers getting trapped. And once the sort of retracement buyers were getting trapped, particularly you can see at this point that those breakout buyers were trapped at the 45 candle. So that was a good indication that we were looking to go short. Now the first short I took was a series of shorts just against the point of control being broken under. We got buyers trapped to the upside and it was a large stop, so I was in the micros. But then we had price move up to the daily VWAP. Very nice area to look for shorts with the inventory being negative, with buyers being trapped. So yeah, see you, Anthony. So then sold off against the daily VWAP, moved down for a nice sort of 10-point move with a standard contract, and then closed out the micros for a small loss. So net profit across those trades, and then finally had this other opportunity with these sellers on the micros trapping all the buyers up against the point of control and lower. Much more straightforward trade.
Yeah.
So sellers coming in, trapping all those buyers up against the point of control, up against standard deviation, sold and took it off down at the lows. And now you can see we're recovering there and now expecting a little bounce and a bit of selling back up at that 63. So all in all, not a bad day at all. And looking forward to tomorrow, Paul.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. Tuesday's on deck.
Yeah, see you guys.
Take care, everybody.